Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror anthology from the USA and Spain, in English and Spanish language with English subtitles, released in the year 2025, directed by a whole host of directors. We have Brian Ferguson, Casper Kelly, R.H. Norman, Michelle Pitt Norman, Paco Plaza and Anders Lokovic, and this film is called VHS Halloween. So VHS Halloween is about 6 terrifying tales that all centre upon this particular day. We have a wraparound story that involves a soda drink that is going to be introduced to the public, but it first needs test subjects to make sure it's okay. We have a haunted house. We have a telephone that mysteriously rings in an abandoned house that is actually not connected. We have some children that have gone missing that the police are trying to investigate. We also have a strange mixture of Halloween treats that actually aren't on the market. And we also have a haunted house attraction that goes horribly wrong. So what happens in each story is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on VHS Halloween. I love this franchise, but I will say that it is definitely hit and miss. But what I like about the franchise is that even in the really bad entries, there's still some pretty good segments. And so the biggest problem to the VHS franchise is definitely the consistency. So I will go with an unpopular opinion here and say that the best additions in this franchise are VHS 2 and also the latest the entry before this one, VHS Beyond. Now the reason why I love Beyond is because I actually liked all of the stories, and that was the same with VHS 2, but the other entries I've just been really disappointed because it's definitely been some really high highs and some really low lows, and so consistently it's just not there. So coming into VHS Halloween, I'm always excited to see what a new edition will produce, and I was hoping that it was going to be as good as VHS Beyond. But after watching VHS for Halloween, I will say sadly this was a bit of disappointment, because this movie is all over the place. It is a mess. Now the first entry, Kuchi Kuchi Ku, which was a haunted house, I thought that was fantastic. That was incredibly creepy, and so that was a really good way to start off VHS Halloween. And I thought, okay, if the other segments are like this, it's going to be a really good experience. But then the biggest disappointment in this film was Paco Plaza. Now this is the Spanish segment, which is why I say this from the USA and Spain. Paco Plaza was responsible for Rec 1 and Rec 2, along with Juame Balaguerra. They are some of the best found footage horror films you'll ever see. So when I heard that Paco Plaza was making a segment in a VHS film, I thought this is going to be something to behold. But when I watched this film, it was completely lackluster. There were some nasty moments, but I thought this is something of a different director. I was expecting so much more, and so that came as a bit of disappointment. Then we have another one involving these chocolates, these treats that are very strange, and we get an insight into how these chocolates are made, and that was a funny sort of segment. And so all of a sudden we're going into a horror comedy, and so I thought, all right, well, the tone is all over the place. And then we have a segment called Kid Print. Now this is by far my favourite segment. It's one of my favourite segments in the whole franchise, and it's one of the nastiest, most depraved segments you will ever see. And so for a segment by itself, I loved it, but as for the segment with the whole film, this just contributed to the inconsistency of the tone. So you have a very spooky first segment, which was the haunted house. Then you have a really disappointing but nasty segment with Paco Plaza. Then you have a horror comedy segment. Then you've gone into something incredibly depraved and cruel. And so a lot of people complained about this segment. For me, I really liked it because it really took on taboo subjects that a lot of directors won't touch, and it really knocked it out of the park. And so that was incredibly depraved, so be very careful coming into Kid Print. So I loved it, and you know, I'm a sicko for loving it, but yeah, it is a horror film. You have to make that sort of differentiate between reality and fantasy. And so Kid Print is definitely one that's going to test out audiences. And so I loved it. It's one of my favourite segments of all of the series, but unfortunately I just felt as though it didn't fit into the other segments that I just saw. Then we have the segment at the end of the haunted house. Now that was a lot of fun, but again, very different from the last segment. And so you have a wraparound story involving a soda drink that I thought was really silly. It just didn't really go anywhere. And so the whole film, at the end of the day, I will say that yes, there were 2 segments or 3 segments that were decent. One was really good, but then the tonal shift was just way out of place. And so the whole film, it just felt like it didn't have that consistency that the better franchise entries had. And so that for me was the biggest disappointment. You have some really disappointing ones, some funny ones, but then some really shocking ones. And so your emotions are all over the place. It's kind of hitting you with really disturbing material, it's getting you really light-hearted material, and it's giving you that sense of atmospheric material. And so it's just all over the place. It just felt like a mess. There was no real control, and for that I'm only going to give this film 2 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.